So here's something that might help you. It certainly helped me. When I'm thinking about how do I convey, how do I export, how do I transfer something, there's one word, I don't think it's mentioned, I don't think this concept mentioned anywhere else in the Word except for the woman who had the issue of blood, and she touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and Jesus said, "Who touched me?" Of course, everybody touched you, Jesus, what's your problem? Jesus said one telling word, one descriptor that is, for me, very helpful. He said, "Virtue went forth from me." Now, virtue isn't a thing.
Right.
I'm sorry, as far as tangible. Virtue is a spiritual substance.
Yes.
It's a reality that's bigger than flesh and blood or laying on of hands.
Right.
We believe in laying on hands, and that's wonderful, but Paul calls that elementary. Let's lay not again the elementary doctrines of laying on of hands. That's elementary. There's things much beyond laying on of hands. And by the way, he goes on to say, the raising of the dead is elementary. There are things a lot further beyond that.
Wow.
He says, let's not teach on that anymore, guys. Come on, we don't have to do. Okay, but anyway, this thing of conveying or communicating or imparting.
We're still embryos.
We are. So that's why we just want to really, okay, shake off all the stuckness. Everybody say stuckness. Say stuckness. Stuckness.
Shake off the stuckness.
Shake off the stuckness. I want to begin moving. Paul has said some of the things that I call high level are elementary.
Yeah.
I have got to get a new mind about this stuff. Get into some realities that put those into proper perspective.
Yeah.
Let's go back to virtue.
Yeah.
Virtue can't be given from brain to brain.
Right. Or from need.
Or
from compassion.
or unsanctified compassion.
Yeah.
Now Jesus removed with sanctified compassion,
Yeah.
and we can be also. Okay, but virtue is something that has to come from the heavenly realm. Where are you and I seated? In heavenly places, right? So in those heavenly places, we get moved by the mind, heart, and compassion, care of God for whatever that situation is. It's like, what are you doing, Father?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that? Okay. Now, virtue. This isn't brainiac stuff.
Right.
This isn't crafting of words. This is
Yeah.
the giving of virtue.
Yeah.
You get the point. That is a Jesus phrase. Virtue went forth from him. Now, where did we do that from? From the heavenly places. Let me quote one more verse. Those things which you loose shall have been loosed in heaven. Those things you loose on earth shall have been loosed in heaven. Now that's the way, if you look at several passages, it's mentioned in several Gospels, you look at the real way that it should have been translated. It's will have been loosed in heaven. And that begs the question, by who? Who did it get loosed by? Where are you and I seated? In heavenly places. You see, if we're only mortals praying to heaven, then this principle of that verse doesn't get engaged.
Right.
You and I have to see ourselves in heavenly places, beginning to move with the mind and heart and the Spirit of God, and then from the heavenly places, whatever you loosed on earth shall have been loosed by you in the heavenly places. You got the mind of Christ, right? And whatever he said is what you said, right? Now you speak as an, if any man speak, let him speak as an oracle of God. You see, all these verses create just this package of, we have so much more territory to move into beyond where we have been. We've lived primarily out of our brain, but we're going to move into the heavenly places and begin to co-govern. Co-govern with God himself, which has been, I think, his biggest, highest dream for all of humanity since before there was dirt. He said, I can't wait to co-govern with my people that I'm going to create. He says, now, let's move above the line. Let's learn our heavenly realities. Let's learn to function and move, live and move and have our being in him rather than down here trying to get up to him somewhere. You know? Anyway, we have to be around each other and or you have to be a searcher, dig in YouTube and find the voices that begin to call forth these golden revelations and marinate them. They have to continually be, we have to be reminded of them, because they just slip away
Yeah.
if we're not careful. Pretty soon we're out into, well, that was a good thought I had 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I don't remember what that is.
Yeah.
Peter's shadow. When Peter walked down the street,
Yes.
people were getting healed by the shadow.
So his spirit, the virtue or impact or influence of his spirit was much bigger than his body.
Yes.
And as you pointed out too, Paul, they gave, that's where we get R.T., what was his name? R.W. Shambach. Remember him? You guys remember him? He's a fiery preacher. You know, stack of hankies, clean ones here. While he's preaching, he's getting sweat on, put them over in this pile. New clean one, put it over in this pile. And then you guys can all take these sweaty hankies home and heal your relatives. And of course, that's a biblical scenario. We get that right out of Bible. And so how did that happen? There was spirit life went in with that, the virtue that resided in that hanky.